Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Rush Racing League. It is time for Div 4 here in Bahrain, the first sprint weekend of the season here in Div 4, and it's going to be action packed goodness. 10 laps for the sprint, 29 for the feature, and we have all 20 drivers. Yes, it is a full lobby here tonight, ready to take on the Desert Heat. My name is Patrick Coleman, aka Ruckus, and alongside me is a man who you may have not heard of before, but I can promise you he's going to bring some excellent insight to the race here tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, I have Wild Track with me. How you doing tonight, mate?
G'day Rex, how you going, buddy? And it's great to be here again. I've done a couple of these with Rush Racing before. Always good to see a full lobby. Absolutely sensational to see all 20 drivers here at Bahrain. One of my personal favourite tracks. It's got a little bit of everything. A couple of great straights, some fantastic cornering. And I tell you what, one of the things about the guys in Div 4, they do like to take a risk when they get into their corners. So we could see some fireworks tonight. I've got a couple of personal favourites that I'm going to be keeping an eye on throughout the course of both the sprint and the main feature race here tonight. But I tell you what, I reckon we're going to be treated to some fantastic racing.
Div 4 is pretty much everything you want in a division when it comes to rush racing. It's got high speed, high action, a little bit of drama here and there, but overall, drivers just absolutely pushing the limits of their machines here. So we do have a full grid here tonight, and yeah, I actually Bahrain is probably my favorite track in general when it comes to driving. It's a very popular track for testing because you, like you said, it's got a little bit of everything. You got high speed, low speed, medium speed corners, several good straights, several good overtaking opportunities as well. And before we get too far on into this broadcast, I do want to wish everybody here, everybody in the OCE region, a happy Australia Day. Hopefully, you guys are celebrating responsibly, but also having a mighty fine good time. Not sure exactly what traditions you guys all have as an American, but if it's anything similar to the American 4th of July, then have fun, eat some good food, set up some fireworks maybe, and overall, just have a good night.
Yeah, that's pretty much here in Australia for Australia Day. It's barbecues. You guys call them cookouts, I believe, and plenty of liquid lubrication, as they may call it. And then also, yeah, we usually have a few fireworks in the afternoon. But speaking of fireworks, we have the first drivers out on track with their out laps, and you'll see that they're starting out on the medium tyres. This means that they're going to be putting a little bit of extra rubber out on the track, getting those initial laps done. And we do have Connor coming up for his first hot lap. This will be interesting to see. Who's your favourite for the sprint qualifier?
That's going to be a interesting one to say the least here, Wild Track, because Mercedes right now, they are the dominant force in Div 4, leading the drivers and the constructors championship with Htown, the driver we're currently on board with, the team principal of Mercedes, getting his first ever win in Rush Racing League in dominant fashion in Monza. He did say that that same level of dominance isn't likely to be repeated, but Htown, he is definitely going to be a driver to kind of keep an eye on tonight. His teammate Gordo and the Mercedes, they have put in a lot of effort to put Mercedes on the top of the constructors by a pretty sizable margin. I think it's like 12 points, I think is the margin for the Div 4 constructors. So Mercedes, definitely the team to look at. Actually, it's 17 points exactly. So 17 points between. You can't really look away from the Mercedes guys. But we also know that Quicksilver can be pretty quick on his day. So yeah, there's probably. But here's the thing: we can say a lot of these drivers, like, oh yeah, H-Town's gonna be someone to watch. We can also say like Keeper, Quicksilver. But usually, when we start saying these names, it's gonna be one of the names that we don't actually talk about that jumps up the order and becomes a really good surprise. Some drivers that we need to look at kind of up and down the grid as H-Town does set the opening lap and Connor will set the next one just directly behind him. we kind of need to see if Aston Martin can really step it up. Coming into this week, they were leading the overall championship, but currently they only have a singular point here in Div 4. So the team of the Full Guy and Genethly really need to kind of step it up here if they want to try to help continue to contribute to Aston Martin's lead in this overall.
Yeah, that's right. Look, there is some fantastic drivers in this division. I've got my eye on Moe Nabs. I think that he is going to be one to watch during this. But as we see the first 9 drivers and now 10 drivers come across the line, we do have some decent opening laps, keeping in mind that they are on medium tyres. So we've got running in your current top 10, we've got Patrick, Mitchell, Htown, Drew, Flying Kiwi, Nyla, Nia Eshe, Jay-Z, SJ's put a 29.7. Good work, SJ. Gordo, Daz, Keeper down in 11th. And then it kind of unfolds from there. But the fastest man on the track at the moment is Patrick with a 29.153. Not far off is Mitchell with a 29.197. Now, I am interested to see how the next lot of times do manage to come out now that there's a bit of rubber on the track, now that they're starting to get their eye in. These guys have probably been practicing in the afternoon, getting it ready. It is a public holiday here in Australia, so they've had a bit of extra time. No one's coming home from work, and it'll be interesting to see how much they've got their eye in. Like I said, Bahrain's one of my favourite tracks. It's absolutely brilliant, so we'll see how we go. And so, yeah, we look like we've got only 2 more drivers left to put their opening times in. Moe Nabs coming across the line with a 29 on the top. This is what I mean. Keep an eye on Moe Nabs. 29 flat. Great to see. Good work, Moe Nabs.
Indeed, and Bowen actually had a pretty good race last time out as well. When we were in Monza, he is currently in P5 in the driver's standings with 13 points. Pretty good result there, so definitely someone to also keep an eye on. I mean, we always do say we have like our eyes on specific drivers, but honestly, you look away from any of these drivers for a second, and they could pull out a really, really fantastic surprise. Now, it is sprint quality, so there is 2 different qualifying sessions here, one for the sprint and one for the Grand Prix. So both of them are short, so one session to rule them all. At the end of this session, we will have our sprint grid, and then we go through a 10-lap sprint race, and then we do it all again for our 29-lap feature. And actually, this is a interesting thing because the sprint adds a bit of extra strategy to the qualifying format. Because as we take a look at the tires here, which is something we don't normally do in qualifying, you can see that there's quite a few drivers who have kind of stuck with the medium, and a few drivers trying to get a last attempt on the soft rubber. So because the tire allocation is going to come into effect because of the sprint, the tire allocation is different than it is in most cases. So, and the interesting thing about how the counter actually plays out, you were talking about the track earlier, how this track has a little bit of everything as Patrick increases his lead ever so slightly. And it's a Red Bull one, too, up at the front. The governor rounding things off exactly a tenth behind his teammate. Fantastic stuff. As a real-life Red Bull driver would say, that is simply lovely. But taking a look at the calendar,
Right.
next week we're heading to Suzuka. So once again, another very different track.
Yeah, look, Suzuka's also a really interesting track. Very high speed, turn 1. A little bit different here. Turn 1 is going to be potentially chaotic, but it is really one of those sharp, heavy on the anchor kind of turn 1s where you need to be very precise with your braking zone. Look, it's going to be interesting with this sprint race. One of the other things that sprint races do throw up is that you do not have a hell of a lot of time to be able to pick your moments. If you make any mistakes, they are punished severely because the chance of you being able to pick your way back through the grid is greatly reduced because it's only 10 laps. I mean, this is, essentially a quick fire shootout between these drivers. So your qualifying position is even more important. Now, looking at the top of the grid, we've got Red Bull leading the charge. Moe Nabs in third. It'd be interesting to see how he goes. He's switching over to the softs for the last 2 minutes of the qualifying session. Then quickly followed by Mitchell, Htown, Drew, Flying Kiwi. The other Williams driver, FTR Minmi, and then Eshe and commuted into the top 10. So look, there's the top 10. This is really what's going to be the decisive factor when it comes down to a sprint race. You want to be making sure that you are in those top three rows on the grid, because it can get really chaotic, and as the grid bunches up into turn one, and anything could happen. You get a broken wing here, and there's your race. It's pretty much over.
Yeah, especially because, like you said, the first couple of corners is really difficult here on this track. You got the really sharp, acute turn of turn one, and then pretty much it goes right into another sharp turn in the opposite direction. So you have that sharp right into that sharp left, and on turn one, when you got 20 cars trying to go ahead and try to fit into those corners, things can get really dicey. And the thing with the sprints, like you mentioned, they're fast and furious. Pit stops are not even a thought really unless the weather drastically changes, which considering that we are in the middle of the desert doesn't seem super likely. Although in career mode, I have had a Bahrain wet race. That was a weird one, not gonna lie. But as we see here now,
Right,
it's the last 2 minutes, and Naya all the way up into P6. And now this is when the track is going to be the most rubbered in. So that's when everything is good. This is when the track is going to be the quickest for sprint quali here. All of our drivers getting ready to do their final shootouts here. And Red Bull right now in a pretty good spot, but looking at everybody else, they're on that soft tire. SJ, the governor, decided to not opt in for the soft tire, but that does save him an extra set of softs that he could use either in the sprint or in Grand Prix qualifying. So we will
now,
see.
I'm just watching Moe Nabs here on his hot lap, so already he is up by 3/10, which is absolutely fantastic. Coming into Sector 2, which is a brilliant way to increase his standings at the moment. If he can hold on to this lap, then he should find himself really comfortable in the top 2 or 3 rows on the grid. Be interesting to see how he comes out of the end of Sector 2 and whether or not he's up or down. Currently on that back straight, burning his his ERS with DRS fully open, coming around. Now, this Sector 3 is a pivotal part of this particular track, and especially when you're coming around to the second to last corner, you're going uphill, and if you've saved a little bit of battery there and you're able to burn it up that hill, you can save yourself a couple of tenths. So let's see how he goes now, coming into the last corner onto the pit straight. This will be an interesting one from Moe Nabs. I've got my eye on him. I'm a Williams fan. I'm not going to deny it. And here he comes across the line. Oh, not quite good enough. He's only a 28.7, so he's going to be down in fifth with Quicksilver smashing across the line in that 28.1. Fantastic.
Yeah, he actually did get a mighty fine draft there. Good slipstream as Mitchell now jumps to the top of the timetable for Alpine, a 128.0. Are we going to see even a 127 in sprint quali? That would be a very awesome thing to see, because that is a rapid time for Div4. And we're going to see, it looks like, yeah, Jonathan Lee won't be completing another lap. Let's head to the Sauber. And he's going to go ahead and pull in as well. So, yeah, I think that is actually sprint qualifying pretty much done and dusted, with the Alpine driver currently getting sprint pole position. And, yeah, that's actually something crazy to kind of think about, because the Red Bulls had such a strong start, but timing is everything. And now they've dropped down to P15 and 16. So row 8 is how far they have fallen since everybody else has jumped up. And started late. I mean, it's always a gamble, right? If you go out too early, then you're not going to have the most rubber on the track, and your time is going to be a bit slower. But on the opposite side of that coin, if you go out too late, then you kind of miss your opportunity, or you run into
Yeah,
a
that's
ton
right.
of traffic. And in my time as
That's right. That's what I
commentating,
was about to say. Traffic can be shocking, especially if you go out a little bit too late. You might get a draft, but you also might get someone sandbagging it through the corners, and that's never, never a good thing. But we do have your top 10 here. You've got Mitch, Quicksilver, Daz, Keeper, Flying Kiwi, Commuted, FTR, Muzz, Jen, and then Moe Nabs completing the top 10. I had a little bit more from Moe. I'm keeping an eye on him. I still think he's going to go all right. He's a great driver in the race, so we'll see how he goes. But yeah, we're interesting to see that H-Town and the other Mercedes driver not performing terribly well.
that is unfortunate for the Mercedes pair. But the nice thing about the sprint is you pretty much get two shots at it, really. So you have the sprint race, and then you got the feature race to contend with as well. And you can use the sprint as a really good learning opportunity. You could use it almost as another practice session, really, to kind of understand where things might have went wrong and how you can improve them for the next set of qualifying and race sessions. Because Park Ferme doesn't. Park Ferme is going to get reopened up, and actually, Park Ferme is generally open in rush anyway, as far as I am aware. So even then, Park Ferme would get reopened, so you could edit your setup depending on how you are feeling. If you feel like the car's not turning enough or turning it a bit too much, you guys can try to figure out that setting to make that car absolutely dance. It is a tricky track. It is a very complicated track. Not Nürburgring levels of complicated, but it is still a very tricky circuit. And last point on the qualifying, as a good friend of mine would say, traffic giveth and traffic taketh away. That is normally used in a multi-class endurance race setting, but it applies to qualifying as well. And actually, we're about to get started here with the sprint race in Bahrain. And the lights are on, and it is lights out, and away we go here in Bahrain for the sprint. And here we go. It's going to be a massive run down into turn one. Oh, and that's a massive
Oh,
sender from Daz. A bit
big
too
hit.
much. And he is just rammed straight into the back of Mitchell. Mitchell seemingly doesn't mind. And we have a Sauber and a Mercedes spun around. That is Naya and H-Town getting tangled together in the opening corners of the sprint race. Jumping back up to the front, we do have some fights here in the midfield as drivers really try to find a place, and that's another hit for the Sauber.
And another
That
one.
is Drew Zilla getting turned around, and it is all unfolding here. And one of the bollards gets sent wide, and oh, there's even more contact. So this is the stewards are gonna have they're gonna have their hands full with just a sprint race, let alone the feature, and
And
there's
then
still
another one.
more. There's Drew Zilla and Connor, so the
Drew Zilla.
Saubers are in a fighting mood here tonight.
Drew causing carnage on lap one. Good job, Drew. Get in there, mate. Show them what you're made of. Look, this is an interesting thing to see. You've got most of the top 10 still holding their positions. There was a couple of contacts early on in Sector 1 and coming into Sector 2, but as we head out of Sector 2 and into Sector 3 and the completion of the first lap, you have Mitch holding on to his lead, almost breaking that DRS from Quicksilver behind him, but they're going to continue on all the way through down into turn one again. Let's see if the rest of turn one continues on, if we get any more carnage. Everyone's getting pretty close to each other, but they're not too bad. It doesn't look like there's any more contact now. Flicking through the different cars, a couple of runoffs here and there, but not too bad. Connor taking a particularly wide line on that one, but there doesn't seem like there is much between one all the way down to position 20 where H-Town is lagging by about 3 seconds. Everyone looks like they are fairly much into that DRS zone. So as we head at the end of sector 1 coming into Sector 2. We should see some DRS action happening here.
Indeed, yeah. And so we're going to probably see some position swapping going around, some musical chairs for these positions. As we take a quick glance at the tires here, everybody, with the exception of Jeneth, has opted to run that yellow-walled medium compound. So Jeneth running the soft, so he'll be pretty rapid on the opening stint. And I know this is going to be pretty heavily charged considering all the incidents that took place on lap 1. But he is currently up 2 positions from where he started. And he really needs to try to make up more ground on that soft tire. Use the rubber while you got it. Because those soft tires, especially in this desert heat in Bahrain, is really going to just, you're going to cook your tires pretty quickly. And what has happened here?
A little bit of contact here. Quicksilver managing to give Mitch just a little tap on the bum as he comes through, but it's not too bad by the looks of things. Looks like Daz has dropped all the way down. He has a looks like he has a penalty now. So let's have a look at the race director on that one.
Yeah,
looks
severe
like Daz
collision
with Mitch. So there we go, and then we have your 10-second time penalty, a severe collision with Moe. Does Moe have any damage from that? Because Daz has absolutely no front wing whatsoever. Let's have a look at Moe. Let's see if
and Naya's also gone around as well.
Moe's also got a bit of wing damage there, so he's going to be potentially wanting to come in for a new wing. It is fairly early on, but like we said earlier on in the piece, the biggest thing with the sprint race, it's only 10 laps. If you don't protect that wing, it could be your race. Curtains on it fairly quickly. But up the front, we do have Mitch heading into the last corner and then down into the pit straight, and you've got Quicksilver right behind him getting DRS fully open now. It will be interesting to see. He may not have enough battery to make a move this particular lap, but we will see how they go heading into turn 1. Positions remaining the same as they go around.
Oh, and a bit of a snap there from Mitchell. Might open the door wide open for Quicksilver. He's going to try to be quick on the draw here, trying to make this move happen, trying to send it around turn 4. Doesn't quite get it, but he's still going to try to hold in. Almost contact. That could have been curtains right there, too, and these guys are really just scrapping it out. There is no love lost between these two right now, and you can see Quicksilver really just trying to get any kind of gap humanly possible to try to just fire one up the inside and try to get that position. But here's the thing, if these guys battle too much and there's a bit of contact with Com United, and I think he either got rear-ended by Kiwi or hit Quicksilver, even maybe a bit of both, might have got sandwiched there, as now his position is under threat as well. Kiwi trying to get the switch back. Kiwi is trying to put any kind of move on that he can get at the moment, and he is going to try, but he won't succeed as of yet. And now they're making their way down this long run into the final few corners on the lap. Now, if you nail this and your opponent does not, then you get a really good shot of trying to get an overtake here. Quicksilver is pretty close. We'll see if he is quick enough to try to jump ahead, and it doesn't look like it. Still too much real estate in between the Alpine and the Ferrari. So he is still going to hold on as we are on the final lap of the first half of the sprint. Lap 5 out of 10, just about halfway through. And he's trying to break the slipstream here. Quicksilver's still going to try to make him the move around the outside, trying to maybe get a switch back here. Almost has the rear bump, or hits the rear diffuser there on the back of the Alpine. So Quicksilver is going to try to look for any kind of gap. But if he makes any kind of mistake, Com United is right there, ready to kind of just pick up the pieces.
I think really what it comes down to at the moment is ERS management between Mitch and Quicksilver. Looks like Mitch has a slightly better run of it when it comes down to managing that battery. So as they come into Sector 3, it will be interesting to see again how they're going with that battery management, because there is no hope for Quicksilver to get past unless he can make sure that he has got plenty of battery heading into that pit straight and picking it up onto the DRS into turn 1. It might be worth getting onto that DRS, saving some battery, and then maybe having another go at the next DRS zone. As we go down, Com United's still in that position, like you said. He is ready to pounce as soon as someone makes that mistake, or if they run out of battery. But we will see how he goes there. Kiwi, however, getting nice and close. He's only 0.1 of a second. Does he go for the move? He's going for it here. And not quite, nothing to do yet, but they are getting nice and close as they concertina in. You can see a distinct kind of 2 or 3 groups here as they go through. You've got Muzz is Big leading a DRS train from 5th down to looks like about 9th, and then you've got 10th, which is slipped into by himself. Jazzy's just kind of cruising along, and Shining Swarm, he's leading the DRS train of the rest of the field. But at the top here, you've still got Mitch holding strong, almost able to actually break out of that DRS of Quicksilver. So if he can do that, then he'll be doing that. And we do have another penalty. My guess is that this is likely to be a track limits. Let's have a quick look.
Yeah, it is track limits for Shining
Incidents.
Swarm.
There you go,
Oh,
Shining
and now
Swarm.
Naya.
Shining Piastri, as he's known. Another track limits.
Yeah, so that's a 3
Ooh.
second penalty that under most circumstances cannot be removed. So you're kind of just stuck with that one till the end of the race. I don't think it's going to affect Naya much. It's definitely going to hurt Shining, as Shining is going to lose at least 1, maybe 2 positions based off of that. But it is the sprint, so it's not where the big points are at. There's still a good amount of points here in the sprint on offer, but the big one is the Grand Prix as we start lap 7 out of 10. And so far, it has been a pretty action-packed. It was really action-packed at the beginning, but, I mean, aside from overtakes, it has mellowed out quite a bit here in the sprint. Up at the front, though, things are still getting spicy as the track is heating up from the desert sun. So is the action. Com United now. Actually, Com United is actually closer to Quicksilver than Quicksilver is to Mitchell. So there's got to be a point where you got to start switching to defense mode. As, I mean, you said it earlier, Wild Track. Mitchell is just getting better exits on these corners, and he's doing better with his ERS management, and that is so crucial in this regulation cycle. And when the F126 DLC comes out for this game, then, I mean, it's already speculated that management is going to be so crucial. Or even Formula 1 drivers are talking to Formula E drivers about how they manage their races. So, yeah, I mean, management is going to be key here. But look at Quicksilver trying to utilize any semblance of a gap, taking that Ayrton center quote very literally here, as now he's looking for any kind of gap. Is he going to try to send it around the outside of the final corner? No, but I don't think he got that great of an exit either, because he might have been a bit compromised on speed. But here we go. DRS flap wide open on the Ferrari, trying to close it down. But Mitchell's been really good on his battery, but still no real room for Quicksilver here. And, I mean, he's got to be getting frustrated at this point, because he has tried everything, but an opportunity has presented itself. The goose has laid the golden egg. Mitchell makes a mistake, and he lets not 1 but 2 cars on through. Quicksilver coming out and promoted to P1 and P2 respectively.
There you go, and that's the thing about the sprint race. Any mistake will be punished pretty much instantly, and there is not a hell of a lot of laps left to try and regain that position. But as you can see further down into the mid-pack, you can see where some of these drivers have fallen away. You've got Daz that has dropped 17 positions all the way down to last place. Moe, with that damage on the wing, has caused all kinds of problems for him. He's picked up a penalty for track limits, and he is all the way down, dropping 7 places down into 17th. You've got Quicksilver leading the charge now, and managing his battery a lot better now that he's out in front because he's not the chaser anymore. But you do have Mitch managing his battery better than Com United, so it will be interesting to see whether or not he's able to use that to his advantage coming down into the pit straight. He does have DRS still, so as he comes down, he's burning that ERS hard, and we'll see if he's able to make a move with that. Here we go. He's going for that move into turn one. Wheel to wheel
Ooh.
action here. Oh, not able to line himself up into the next turn, and that's an absolutely crucial move there. So he's managed to just put his nose in front for a second, but can he do it here on the end of the next DRS straight? It's going to be interesting to see. They are wheel to wheel, but
I
they're
think
giving each other
he's got
room.
it.
And here we go. His great move through that section and a great combination of corners there. So he's managed to get himself back up to position 2, but crucially, he is pretty much out of DRS range now, and that could be the deciding factor there for Quicksilver.
Yeah, that was mighty impressive there from Mitchell. I mean, trying to overtake 3DSs is really no easy feat, but yet it didn't stop Mitchell from giving it a go, and he's got it going. And actually, a driver who's made up a lot of positions is Patrick here in the Red Bull. He has made up 9 positions from where he started. I mean, it was clear that the 2 Red Bull drivers did have some pace around here, and that pace is coming to fruition. Probably, and there's a good chance, considering that it is a sprint, that the qualifier was a bit of a strategic choice to try to save tires as drivers are shaking for moves all up and down the field as we do begin the final lap of the sprint race here in Bahrain. And fights are going to be happening all the way around. Common United trying to get a send. He's trying to look for any kind of angle, but Mitchell's defense is second to none right now. Alpine's Minister of Defense is trying to lock in that P2 as Quicksilver has already started running off or prancing into the sunset as the sun starts to set here in the Kingdom of Bahrain. As now these guys are making their way through the S's. Oh, and what's happened here? Moe Nabs has a penalty, but there is a Mercedes spun around. That is Htown, I believe, getting spun around there. The current championship leader not having a fun time here in the desert. Actually, neither him or his Mercedes teammate, really. Although Gordo is up about 6 places or so. So that is going to be at least some kind of relief to kind of show that there is pace there in that Mercedes. But now it's going to be a real fight to the end as these drivers are getting ready to come through the last couple of corners on the final lap of the sprint race here. And it is going to be pretty much a real drag race for a lot of the field. But one driver who pretty much, he played his hand nicely. He waited for the opportunity, and the opportunity presented itself, and he took the bull by the horns and pranced away to victory lane. Quicksilver
Here comes
Deck
Patrick
wins.
in that last corner. That last corner, Patrick's made the move up into 5th. Absolutely fantastic work there from Patrick. Managing just to beat Flying Kiwi to the line to pick up an extra couple of crucial points. Fantastic work. So there's your top 8, because that's the only ones that are getting up points out of the sprint. Quicksilver making that move, holding on the entire race, and Mitch coming into 2nd. Com United 3rd. Muzz is big. A big 4th for Muzz. Great work from Muzz. He didn't qualify as well as he wanted to. He's made up 4 positions there, but absolutely fantastic work by Patrick, making up 10 positions. Coming from 15th all the way up to 10th. Absolutely brilliant work there by Patrick's. Well done, buddy. You've also got Flying Kiwi only losing 1 position down into 6th. 7th is the Williams driver maintaining his position. And then 8th, we've got Jen managing to round up your points getters. The biggest losers, however, would have to be Htown dropping 3 positions, and then Moe Nabs dropping a whole heap as well. Not a race that the Mercedes guys will want to remember, but the good thing about it is that they're only minor points for that one there, and we will see how they go in the feature event. What happened? Daz all the way down. All the way down to 20th. Well, I'm sure he'll be able to work that All right, now we get ready for qualifying. Short qualifying, Bahrain feature event. Now, not sure. I can't hear anything from Wreckers, so we'll see how we're going. I'm just going to quickly jump on to the live stream, see whether or not we're actually able to hear from Wreckers himself. You hear Wreckers? All right. Sounds like maybe Wreckers has got a comms problem there, so we're just going to continue on. We've got our next lot, which is going to be qualifying here at Bahrain. Short qualifying, the guys would have learnt a hell of a lot from that sprint race. They're probably tweaking their setups a little bit just to make those little crucial changes. Maybe a little less downforce, maybe a little more grip. We'll see how they go. And will the gamble by SJ not opting to use that soft set of tyres? It means he does have an extra soft set of tyres for the qualifying in the feature race where the big points are. So we'll see how he goes with that.
And you can spend all the money you want on a fancy broadcast mic, but it is still going to have issues. So I do apologize for anyone who heard whatever issues happened with this headset. But yeah, we're back to the old one. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the strategy decisions play out for this qualifying, because the tires, the usages from the sprint race, the sprint qualifying, and now here are going to play a real big factor. The sun has fully set now. The floodlights are on, so this track is actually going to get a bit quicker than it was earlier. The tires won't get heated up as quickly because we do have the lower temperatures on the track. So it'll be interesting to see who can make the improvement, who's going to improve, who's going to stay about the same, or who's going to have even a worse go of it, because that is still an option. You can still have a bit of a worse run of it. So we're just going to see how everything plays out.
So first to get on his hot lap is Mitchell. He came second in that sprint race, so a fantastic job there on the softs as he heads into the end of Sector 1, start of Sector 2, and it will be interesting to see how he goes with his qualifying for this race. Has he made any setup changes? Is he happy with the way that the setup has gone during that sprint race? I think he probably should be using up all of that track, getting nice and close to the track limits there, and that's what you really need to do to put together that perfect lap, is to make sure that you're right on the line, and the drivers that are able to do that and still maintain inside the track limits but cut in as much as possible. While it looks like he's getting a little bit of a toe on that back straight there, it will be an interesting thing to see. So he performed particularly well at the sprint race, getting second, leading for most of it, only losing out by just that little mistake there. His tyres probably went a little bit towards the end of the race, and I think he'll be going fine here. So as he comes up the elevated section, coming into the final corner for his first hot lap, let's see what that time is going to be. Is 1:21. 22, 23 as he comes along. My guess it's probably going to be close to a 28. 28.4, there you go. So there's your first time to beat 1 minute 28.470. Absolutely brilliant pitch.
Good way to start things off here. So we got so close to that 127 in the sprint quality. I think we might be able to see a very, granted it's going to be a high 127, like a 120, probably no higher than a 127, or sorry, no lower than a 127.8 is probably the ceiling that I'm expecting, but probably realistically it's going to be either super low 128s like we saw in the sprint quali, or it's going to just push it over the edge with a 127. So it'll be interesting to kind of just watch how all these drivers kind of get the grips and kind of just see how everything progresses. And yeah, it's different environment for qualifying here as well with the sun setting and such. So now we do have four drivers who have currently set lap times, and then Muzz has now he's going to be the next driver to set a lap. I actually think there's going to be a Haas just ahead of him, but Muzz, he had a big run of things in the sprint, looking for an even bigger run here in the Grand Prix. He's going to come across the line up to P4, 128.941 to set off his lap here. And now we drop down to a driver who really did not have a good run of things in the sprint with the kick sabber of Naya. Had a really, really tough go of things, but I think there's quite a few drivers that could have really learned a lot from that sprint coming into the Grand Prix. I mean, particularly the two Mercedes guys, they're going to be the drivers that are really going to be in the hot seat right now because their position at the top of the Drivers' and Constructors' Championship in Div 4, it looks like it's under some serious danger.
Yeah, that's right. And look, some of these drivers are going to want to be making up for some of those mistakes in that sprint race or some unlucky incidents. Like I said, Moe losing quite a few positions in that sprint race, going from 10th all the way down into, I think it was 17th that he ended up in. So he'll be trying to come back and getting some traction into this sprint to make sure that he starts as best as he possibly can. I know that he's been practicing, so it will be interesting to see how he goes for that. So far, your top three: Mitch leading the charge on a 128.4. SJ with a beautiful 128.7, so he'll be back into the pits to get a new fresh set of rubber on and try and improve on that one. Quicksilver, the winner of the sprint race, and not far behind with a 128.8. And Drew, who caused all kinds of drama in the sprint race, 128.8. So hopefully you won't get the same repeat of that coming into turn one of the main event here. We've also got some fantastic lap times here. Jen and the full guy for the Aston Martin team, 8th and 9th with a 129 flat and a 129.1. Connor with a 129.3. Shining Swarm, a 129.6. He's a decent mid-pack driver, so it'll be interesting to see how he goes. Hopefully he is able to improve on his previous. Here comes Moe. He's on outlap, so I'm interested to see how he goes. He's weaving around trying to warm up those tyres for his hot lap. We'll see how he goes here. Be good to see if he is able to get up into those top three grid places, because I think he will want to make up for the result that he had in the sprint.
He knows that there's a lot more potential there in the Williams. He wants to try to do the best for that team. And Williams has been pretty much on a meteoric rise since last season, really. They started last season pretty much in the middle of nowhere, in a no man's land. But then about partway through the season, Dito, the team principal, currently racing in Div 1, just turned everything around and brought the team up to a really good spot. I think they finished like, I think, 5th or so in the overalls last season, if I remember correctly. So building off of that good momentum, all the Williams drivers are going to try to want to maximize the potential and do what they can. Moe knows that there is potential and he wants to nab a pole position here, or at least a spot towards the front. Because we were actually talking a bit before we actually got started, is that the further forward you are up front, the less likely you are to get involved in the turn one action. But we saw that you can still get involved in some carnage up at the front, as we did see at the beginning of the sprint. So I mean, it certainly minimizes the chance, but that chance is never zero. So we'll just
Yeah,
have to
that's
see.
right. Look, unfortunately, these things do happen, and especially in the lower divisions where the racecraft isn't quite as refined as it is in Division 1 and 2, you do have those risky moves. Sometimes these guys take more risk than a divorced dad in Thailand, but you know what? We'll see how they go coming into this GP, and I'm interested to see if we've got a good result here. There we go. Moe Nads picking up that pole position, or provincial pole position, 128.1. So that is the time to beat as he comes across the line on his cool down lap, getting ready to head back to the pits and change up his rubber. Patrick's picking up a 128.5, and great work there. So the Red Bull guys doing pretty well there. Com United picking up on 128.4.2, just ahead of Mitch on the 128.4.7. So who's still sitting in the pits, and he's about to head out, I believe. Yeah, we'll see how they go from there. But look, the guys putting in their initial banking lap times. They've still got 7.5 minutes to go on this qualifier. Hopefully they're able to get out. Now, one thing we haven't seen is either Mercedes driver put in a time yet. So they're on their way through their hot laps. And we've got Gordo 129, and we've got Htown coming through as well. He's in sector 1 on his hot lap, so interesting to see how he goes. Hopefully he's able to put something together, because he didn't have the best of races in his sprint.
Yeah, it's kind of a sharp turnaround, really, from Monza to Bahrain. I mean, H-Town won by almost 10 seconds in Monza, now kind of struggling here in Bahrain. So we'll see if he can turn that around. He is giving a pretty good tow to a Ferrari just behind as he reaches over 300 kilometers an hour, making his way into the sweeping left-hander towards the end of Sector 2. And then he's going to make a right-hand turn, ending the sector with a 107.763. And now that tow for the Ferrari bond is going to be kind of a double-edged sword. It's going to really help you get a good slipstream and a good line, but also through some of the quarters, that dirty air could really force your car to wash wide. But he's coming into the pits anyway, as H-Town will set his first time a 130.0, almost
Ouch.
2 seconds off the pace of Moe, who's in provisional pole. So not looking like a great weekend here for Mercedes.
Yeah, unfortunately, it is horses, and this particular horse doesn't particularly like the desert by the looks of things. So he is on his cool-down lap, coming back in to get some fresh rubber. We do still have 5.5 minutes to go. It'll be interesting to see if the guys are going to wait and try and fit 2 laps in, or if they're just going to go for that one. I believe that there probably won't be enough time to go for 2 laps now. You do have Naya coming through on his, looks like his second lap, and looks like he's up at the moment coming out of sector 1. It'll be interesting to see how he goes. He is currently in 6th, so if he can improve from there, that will certainly cement him into that top 3 rows on the grid. Particularly important when it comes down to that turn 1, as we have mentioned before. It is a chaotic turn 1. You've got to get on the anchors, you've got to be in nice and tight, and if you don't set yourself up for turns 2 and 3, you are in strife. So here we go, coming through on the second sector of the track here, coming up towards the second DRS zone. This is a particularly important. Looks like he's on charge now, so he might be. I think he's pulled out of it. I think he might have pulled out of this one, so not happy, and he's just going to return to the pits by my guess. but we'll see how he goes. But he does have a 128.7 sitting in 6th, so that's not too bad at all.
Yeah, I think he was on recharge for pretty much that entire lap. So, and now we do have Shining Swarm currently on his out lap trying to get ahead of the traffic, which is always kind of a risky call because when you're starting a lap at this point, right, you got 4 minutes to go into session, and, you know, things get really intense and things get really busy. I like to call it rush hour, pun entirely intended, when you get down to the final 2 minutes of quali, because that's when everybody's going to be going out trying to get their final attempt to get on pole position, where the track is going to be at its grippiest, with the most rubber down on circuit. But sometimes you could just kind of beat everybody to the punch and get your lap out. But the issue you run in with that is if you have other drivers who are kind of thinking the same thing of just running out early, you can have a lot of drivers who do come out pretty much right smack dab in front of you when you begin your flyer. So that could really hurt Shining here. And also, you got Drew, Zilla, and Daz also on their outlap, so they can really just, I mean, that traffic could really kind of bite them as they go through here. And here we go. Shining is going to go ahead and begin the lap. We'll take you through the lap here. He's going to go ahead and come into the sharp turn 1 here, using a little bit of the curb, trying to set himself up nicely for turns 2. Flowing straight into turn 3, he's going to fire up the battery, using a good amount of the DRS, getting to over 300 kilometers an hour in the first DRS zone. And now comes the really technical sector here in Sector 1, now heading into Sector 2. He is up by over a tenth already, almost, or actually over a tenth and a half, coming to the first sector. Now he's going to make his way through. And now he's coming up to probably some of the weirdest corners in Formula 1. You got turns 9 and 10. It's a very interesting what you got to do with the brakes here. It's a weird set of corners that can really catch you off guard. Probably the hardest part of this track to learn. But he's going to go ahead and get DRS once again, coming through the second DRS zone. And now he's going to go ahead and make his way on through. And now the sweeping left on the sweeping right. Oh, but now he's up by over half, or just about half a second. So 4.5 tenths out of the first 2 sectors. Good run here. That should put him still pretty close. Probably put him just about in the top 10. As Shining now is coming through the last couple of corners. He is going to get a good tow from the Aston Martin, and he's going to come across the line. Where is he going to go? Up into P14. So actually not as much as I thought he would. Must have lost some time kind of going through Sector 3, but still up by over half a second there.
Be interesting to see how the rest of the field reacts. We do have the one car that has not put a time down, so he's going out for a one and done, hoping that he's able to get himself a decent time on his only recorded lap. I don't know if he invalidated his previous attempt, but we will see how he goes. So always a risky thing if you're trying to get that one lap done at the very end of the qualifying period. He's on his out lap with only 40 seconds to go. Hopefully he's actually able to make it to the finish line, the finish start line. I think he should be fine getting ready to go there. But as we do have the current pole sitter, which is Moe Nabs, on his hot lap here, absolutely brilliant, going into the end of Sector 1. Is he going to be up on his previous time? He is just up by 2/100ths of a second, which will still help him improve and try and cement, because he's got almost a full 2/10 gap to Com United, who's sitting in second at the moment. And Com United coming around, pardon me, coming around to the end of Sector 1. How is he going with his improvement? And he's up by 1.5 tenths, so it'll be interesting to see how these guys go with each other. Mitch also coming to the end of Sector 2, so is he able to actually do some improvement there? Moe at the end of Sector 2 is up by 1.7, so that will be an interesting kind of finish to the lap there. We've got Com United coming, and he's still up by another 1.5 tenths, so that should be interesting to see there, with with the end of Sector 2 for Mitchell. This is a three-way shootout here for these three races. Absolutely brilliant. Is he going to be able to come up a bit? Moe not improving. We've got... Flying Kiwi flying up to second. Muzz is big. Quicksilver going into first. Absolutely brilliant. That was a massive jump for him. Fantastic to see there. Nothing to do for Mitch yet. Is he coming across? Not too bad. He's coming into the final section here, so we'll see if he's able to jump up a little bit. No one into the 127s. Mitch only jumping up into fourth, so that is going to be your top 10 there so far. You've got Quicksilver, Moe Nabs, United, Mitch, Flying Kiwi into that fifth position, and rounding out those three rows of the grid is Muzz is big. So Moe, a huge improvement over his previous qualifier in the sprint, so he'll be really happy with that in that set on that front row of the grid there. Rounding out the next ones, you've got Patrick's in 7, you got FTR, the other Williams driver, in the P8, so that's a lucky little qualifying run there, seeing that he was only able to bank that one. You do have Keeper disqualified. What caused that disqualification? Let's check out the race director. Keeper, what happened to you, my friend?
Probably parked in a dangerous location.
Oh, there you go. That will be what will cause that. Hot tip for young players: don't park on the track, guys. Don't go backwards because you will get a disqualification there, unfortunately. But that is your qualifier for the main event finish there. So absolutely brilliant. Really impressed with the way that the guys have conducted themselves during this qualifier. But it all comes down to that all-important Grand Prix. There you go. So again, your top three rows is going to be Quicksilver, Moe Nabs, United, Mitch, Flying Kiwi, Muzz is big, rounding up those top three in those three rows there. They are going to be the ones really fighting it out in the initial stint of this race. Are they going to go for a one-stop? Are they going to go for a two-stop out here in the desert? It's Bahrain. I've been there before. It's brilliant. I was there in 2009 and 2013. It's a beautiful, beautiful little country there and a fantastic place. And I tell you what, it is hot.
Yeah, I mean, the desert heat is no joke. Closest thing I've been to desert heat is Arizona here in the U.S., and it gets pretty hot out there as well, so I can imagine in an area that really...
What's the hottest town in the U.S.? What's the, do they have a hottest town?
I think it's...
Here in Australia, it's a place called Marble Bar.
I would say it's actually... It's either in Arizona or Nevada, which is on the west coast, a bit inland from where California is. And I think it's actually Death Valley has the highest recorded temperature of about, I don't know the exact measurement to Celsius off the top of my head, but it's about, I think it's like 130 degrees Fahrenheit at one point. Actually, you know what? That's going to be a fun little research topic real quick. As we get
here
ready
in Australia,
to...
a place called Marble Bar recorded the hottest temperature on record, so that was interesting. And I tell you what's going to be even hotter is going to be the Grand Prix, the feature race here in Bahrain. Absolutely brilliant. Like I've said before, it is one of my favourite tracks. It's got a bit of everything. That first turn can be absolute carnage, but it can also bring up some great overtakes. I'm looking forward to turn one. It is going to be sensational with the top two drivers. Hopefully, Quicksilver up on top. He did brilliantly in the sprint race, so looking forward to see if he can back it up for the feature race as well. And then Moe Nabs wanting to improve on a scoreless sprint race there. Hopefully he can bag some big points for Williams here in the feature race here. Have you got the conversion? Oh,
well, we'll have to get to that in a moment as the race is about to get red hot here in the desert, and as the lights out and away we go here in Bahrain. We're ready to turn up the heat, and the drivers will as well. Going into turn one is a McLaren off into the grass in the background, and can we get through turn one safely? Looks like maybe some end plates might be getting knocked off, but every car is facing the... Never mind, I spoke too soon. Htown is out, and Muzz is spun around. Big moment for him. And that is a full course caution being brought out. So a VSC has been called. and that is going to neutralize this race. Got a little too red hot, and Shining Swarm actually getting hit with a 10-second time penalty for ignoring yellow flags. And there is what is going on here?
Holy dooly, it is all kicked back of the field here, guys. These races are determined to give the stewards some homework by the looks of things, and we've also got another penalty for Flying Kiwi. Htown is gone. Unfortunately, that is his weekend over. It has not been a good one for the current championship leader, and I dare to say there may be a swap of the guard at the top of the leader tally as we get ready to go racing pretty soon. Unfortunately, a VSC turn on after turn 1 on lap 1. It is not uncommon, unfortunately. This is a chaotic turn 1.
Yeah, exactly. So, chaos here in the desert. We'll see if the drivers can withstand the heat. And to actually bring back the hottest temperature conversion, as we're about to get red hot back here on track. The hottest temperature in America was 134 degrees Fahrenheit. The action here is going to get much hotter than that. 56.7 Celsius. No match for the heat that's going to be here on track, as Mitchell's already broken DRS range from Quicksilver, as now Kami United is going to try to put himself firmly in the rear view mirrors of Quicksilver and try to make himself an ever-present threat. As we are on lap 2 out of 29 here in the Grand Prix. We'll take a look at the tires here. A vast majority of this field running the mediums. The two drivers in the back of Daz and Muzz running the hard. So a lot of drivers on very similar strategies. But the question is, do you go for the one step, or do you just go for the alternative risky strategy of trying to go for the 2? That is going to be the question at hand, as Kami United makes his way down to the end of Sector 2. Now still trying to follow closely behind Quicksilver, trying to line himself up. Quicksilver has gotten back into the DRS range of Mitchell here, as we are seeing an absolute fight from these guys here. As now Quicksilver is going to try to close in the gap ever so slightly. And there's fights happening all across the field, as you would expect here in the opening laps of a Grand Prix here. Mitchell now in. Now we see the fastest lap going to Moe Nabs after a few different positional changes. And here we are. And I don't think anyone's going to try anything super risky right now, because unlike the sprint, you will get chances to make pit stops. And you are going to have chances to where you really don't need to fight for anything ludicrous at the moment. Just kind of wait for your moment. And, I mean, hey, we saw it in the sprint. If you're patient enough, an opportunity will present itself right to you.
That's right, and speaking of pit stops, you have Jen coming in to replace that front wing, going onto the hards nice and early, obviously involved in one of the tussles in the early part of the race. But as we have a look through the mid-grid, you've got in 8th position SJ, right hot on the tail of Naya there. Absolutely, be interesting to see if he's able to pick him off, because Naya's not in the DRS zone of Patrick's, who's in front of him. So you've got a bit of a DRS train from Mitch down to 6th in with Patrick's, and then Naya picking up the next little lot of cars behind him, and another one forming behind Jazzy all the way down. Look, it's going to be interesting. Jen by himself, he's going to have a bit of a lonely race back there until the next stint starts. Is he going to have to pit again? I dare say he will, with still another 26 laps to go. But we will see how we're going as we're heading back into turn 1. We've got Quicksilver wanting to make that turn, that move on. Is he going to be able to do the switchback? Oh, a little bit of contact there. Be careful of that bloody wing. I tell you what, this is not a place that you want to be losing your... But he's on the DRS again. Is he able to do it? No. He actually went across the DRS detection zone.
Oh, drama in the back. Drama in the back. Daz and Muzz got into it. One of them was facing in the wrong direction temporarily. I think they got it all sorted, but The truck will stay green, but the drama still continues here on lap
Yeah,
4 out of 29. So, I mean,
it is one of the things you need to look out for. If you do cross that detection line with your nose slightly in front, but you're unable to stick the actual overtake, then you are going to have someone in front of you with DRS, and that's never a good place to be, because you won't have it and you can leave yourself open to whoever's behind you again. Look, the top runners are still galloping along, picking up a little bit of a gap to Naya. Remembering that Flying Kiwi does have that penalty there, so I think Moe will keep that into the back of his mind. But we'll see here with United nice and close up the gearbox of Quicksilver. Moe following suit right up behind him, and Mitch once again at the front. But can he hold on this time? Because he did lead most of the race in the sprint race before getting overtaken by the man who's behind him having a sniff again, which is Quicksilver.
yeah, Moe Nab's actually getting some moves done here himself. He went a bit wide there out of the exit of turn 2, as the governor now gets a track limit violation or gets a penalty for track limit violations, as now Quicksilver tries to get a move done around the outside, trying to get one on the inside as well, trying to find any kind of gap that he can squeeze himself into, as now it's kind of his main focus is, aside from trying to pass Mitchell, he wants to try to break away from United so he can solely focus on trying to get past Mitchell here for the lead of the Bahrain Grand Prix here, round number 2 of the season here in Rush Racing League, the first sprint. And it has been a fun one here. And look at this, Quicksilver now going to try to fire it up the inside at the end. Oh, there's a bit of contact, bit of wheel banging between the two, and they're going to continue on. There is no love lost between these two guys. Interviews are going to be fun with these guys, especially considering how hard they have fought here. They fought aggressively in the sprint, and aggression continues. There's ruthless aggression as there's drama again, a bit of a snap there from Quicksilver, and this whole race can get turned upside down quicker than you may realize, as Quicksilver now tries to line him up. Looks one way, looks another, but the door will get slammed shut. Mitchell does not want any Girl Scout cookies. He's going to try to keep that position, but Quicksilver is trying to blow the door right off its hinges. He's going to try to make it a move around the outside yet again, but once again, and funny enough, that exact same action is being mirrored by United and Moe just behind.
Yeah, that's right. Moe having 2 or 3 goes at it from turn 1 all the way back up to the end of that DRS zone. He wants that position. He wants that last spot on the podium, and he wants to make sure that he get in. He is right up the gearbox, but he is now being challenged by Flying Kiwi. So will he be able to hold on here? Only just. Flying Kiwi right up behind him, but he is carrying that penalty, so it will be interesting to see Flying Kiwi trying to make up for that penalty by getting as far up the grid as possible, with Quicksilver coming through, having another go at it on the inside, not being able to line himself up, so he's managed to pull back out, and then he is going to recharge that battery and hopefully have another shot at it as we head into that pit straight. Absolutely brilliant racing for these guys. Look, a couple of little touches of the wheels and the front kind of 4 drivers, but nothing to do. They've all been racing pretty clean, which is great to see, and that's what we want to see. We want to see some wheel-to-wheel action, but no one ploughing into each other, which, here we go again, onto that pit straight. We've got, United having the go. What do we got here? Nothing to do. Managing to hold off that position is Quicksilver as they move into the next DRS zone. I tell you what, mate, this is hotter as we get around. And
we're about getting to the point when we're hotter than the sun itself. I mean, the action here is just absolutely intense here in the desert. The Racing Bull is certainly racing here tonight, trying to get any kind of position here. United now, I mean, you got to admire the audacity of the Racing Bull driver trying to cash in and try to get these positions. I mean, it's all to play for here. It's still very early on in the season. We're only at round 2 of the season there. So if you could build this momentum early on, then the rest of the season can be really, really interesting and really, really good for you. It's always hard to kind of like, if you've had a rough start to the season, it's so hard to build up that momentum, and getting a good position and able to kind of stick it to the front runners. That's a one good way to kind of even build up your self-confidence as well. Building up the confidence, building up the momentum is exactly what you need in this early stage of the season now, as we got quite a few gaps forming, but also a lot of drivers still being pretty close to each other, as Minman now is sticking to the back of Fool Guy, trying to break into the top 10, but jumping back up into the front. Quicksilver trying to make a move on to Mitchell. Tries the outside line, outside becomes the inside, and is he going to try to stick it? He's going to be close. It's a drag race that the Ferrari certainly is going to win. The DRS is going to kick in. He's going to try to put a nose on the inside. Wheel bank it again.
This is crazy.
And Quicksilver, after many attempts, he got tired of knocking on the door. He just blew it wide open. Quicksilver deck in the Ferrari. The prancing horse prances way into P1.
That's right, and we missed it behind, but we've also had Moe Nabs get United up into P2. Up into P3, sorry, but has he lost DRS? He's managed to bring it back here, so luckily he still has DRS onto the back of Mitch, so he still is a force to be reckoned with here. Absolutely brilliant. I tell you what, this is some exciting racing, guys. For those watching at home, do not blink because you will miss it. Absolutely fantastic from our front 4 runners there. Flying Kiwi still carrying that penalty, so that one is going to be an interesting result at the end of the race. He could find himself toppling down the tally very quickly and losing.
United, I think he went a bit wide there, and now he's going to lose a bit of time to Moe. Just went a bit wide into the runoff, nothing too major, but I mean, the race is all about moments. So now we do see Quicksilver deck trying to break the slipstream here, as he is going to, but look at this. Once again, Mitchell trying to go ahead and try to return to sender against Quicksilver, but once again, Quicksilver is trying to hold the position here. And now here's the thing you got to think about too.
Fantastic exit there.
If you do a lot of paddling like this, because we're seeing that Quicksilver is doing a good amount of weaving on a straight, then you're burning up those tires, and with a majority of field on the mediums, then those tires are going to get burned out really quickly, and you're going to start to lose a lot of grip.
That's right, and he needs to be careful. Remember, you're only allowed to perform that one move to be able to break the slipstream, and then you can return to the racing line. So you need to be careful that you're not zigzagging across the track, but will be awesome to see here. We've got some great racing still going on as he moves to the left and then back to the right on the racing line. Nothing to do there as they continue on into the end of Sector 2 and the start of Sector 3 on lap 9. They are going to be starting to approach their pit windows. Now, this is where strategy comes in. Who's going to be pulling in first? Who's going to be going for that undercut? This could be a very pivotal pit position change on the end of this these next coming laps. Are they going for the one stop? Are they going for the two stop? We don't know what their plan is here. With, as I speak about it, you've got Mitch coming into the pits. I knew it was a great time to talk about it. So he's coming into the pits. So is Flying Kiwi. So is just him and Flying Kiwi at the moment. So he's going to be going in, and my guess going on to, the hard tyres, hoping to get that undercut. But that does mean that he's probably going to be looking to go onto the softs in the closing laps of this race. Is Quicksilver going to be able to outdo him on a one-stop? This is going to be very interesting with Moe and Quicksilver now the top 2 positions and United in 3rd.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it was pretty much right at the point where Quicksilver actually broke DRS from Mitchell. So yeah, I think that was probably the best time to really just kind of come into the pits. The engineer probably sensed that, like, hey, you're out of DRS range now is the perfect shot to try to get the undercut, as now we are still seeing some more penalties flying on through. And I think actually Kiwi should have a healthy amount of penalties here. Yeah, because he got I think him and Shining Storm got 10 seconds for speeding into pits. Or actually, no, Shiny got a hit with it for ignoring yellow flags. So when it's time for his stop, he's going to add an extra 10 seconds to his pit stop. So that's going to really hurt his race for the Haas driver. But yeah, it's now at a point where
here because you got Quicksilver's actually broken DRS of Moe Nabs, and that means that he is going to be heading now for... Oh, he kind of faked it going for the pits, and he's continued on, so that's interesting to see. And you do have Moe Nabs and Com United both entering to the pits there, and that's an interesting one because they are now looking at doing about 18 laps on those hard tyres. Quicksilver pushing a little bit further. This will be very interesting. Is this the right strategy? Running an extra lap on those mediums. Is he going to be losing time to the guys? Is he leaving himself open for that undercut? We will soon see, but he is absolutely driving like a man possessed at the moment. Great to see. Your current...
we have a battle here between Patrick and Naya. Battling it out here. Fighting in Sector 2. Going wheel to wheel, just like we saw with Mitchell and Quicksilver earlier on in the Grand Prix. The Red Bull and the Sauber duking it out here for what is currently P2 and P3, which will change once the pit stops cycle on through. But whoa, what has happened here with Naya? Just absolutely losing it. I think Naya was trying
part of his wing.
Trying the esports line there, but that clearly did not work out in the slightest there. Just absolutely getting it all wrong there coming out of turn 10. And now that's going to put SJ within a good shot here of trying to get the pass done.
He's going to have to get that wing changed, I think, because he is missing his end plate, and luckily he's done it before he's done his pit. So my guess is that he is going to be coming into the pits now. Yes, he is. That means an extra 70 seconds or so on his pit change. So he's going to be losing positions hand over. But you've still got Quicksilver pushing for another lap. Is this the right move? Is he losing too much lap time, or are his tyres still good? We'll see it soon enough.
Yeah, I think Quicksilver's actually trying to extend to be a one-stop here, which, I mean, he's going to lose a good amount of time, but, I mean, it's really all about diminishing returns here because if he can make the one-stop, he'll save about the 25 or so seconds you'd spend in the pit lane, but also, will the amount of time you lose lap after lap after lap trying to extend these this comparatively archaic tires to the rest of the field, are you just losing time at that point? Are you, like, is the time you lost on track less than the time you would have lost in the pits on a two-stop, or vice versa? Because if you would have lost more time just coming into the pits, then obviously your strategy did work out, but if you lost more time on track than you really gained with the singular pit stop, then it's kind of all for nothing, really. So you really it's really just kind of a pick your poison type thing. And we said this before, racing is all about margins, but here we go. Quicksilver into the pits. His race engineer has called time on that. And I mean, you could actually probably get a set of hards all the way to the end on this from this point on. So it's going to require some managing for certain, as I think the governor is going to come in right behind. Yes, he is. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one here. So where does Quicksilver come out in relation to the Alpine? Several cars behind. So the overcut did not really work too well for Quicksilver. He has to get through Moe and Com United really quickly, but they're also on fresh tires. So this is going to be a dangerous one for Quicksilver. Did Ferrari get it all wrong here?
What you'll probably find with Quicksilver is he now has an extra 3 laps in his tyres over Mitch, an extra 2 over Com United and Moe Nabs. Now, if they're all going for a one-stop, if they're all going to try and go the full race distance, this could be the decisive little three laps. Will it be enough? Will there be enough life in his tyres during that time? Is being caught now in 4th position or 5th position now as he stands going to be detrimental to his tyres with dirty air and all of those kinds of things? We will soon see, but it depends on whether or not Mitch, Moe and Com United are going for the 1 or the 2 stop onto softs later on.
It's all about the margins here, Wild Track. It's all about the margins, and we'll see if Ferrari's math adds up, and we'll see if those margins do play into the favor of Ferrari. But here's the thing, though: you can have the fresher tires, but if you just cannot get past the Racing Bulls and the Williams up ahead, then you're going to be in some serious trouble, because you're going to burn up a lot of that fresh rubber trying to get past these guys. And these guys are not going to play ball. They're not just going to pull over and say, okay, mate, you can go on through. No, they're going to fight for those positions, because they're trying to get points for their team. And they're trying to get points for their constructor, their driver's championship, the overalls. So Quicksilver is going to have to try to find his way through. But we have seen that Com United and Moe have been pretty solid on the defense. So it's going to be it's an interesting position for Quicksilver to be in. He's still going to be within DRS range, which is going to be super crucial. But if Moe is out of DRS range from Mitchell, so that could also potentially spell danger for Quicksilver's race chances here. Because if he's...
Yeah, that's right. If he's unable to get on that train, he could find himself in a position not being able to be in the strike zone. But it does come down to whether or not... Well, now, Moe Nabs looks like he's about to get DRS back. He's back inside, or momentarily back inside that 1 second. But Com United actually dropping in and out of DRS. And now it looks like Moe's actually got DRS on Mitch, so that could change things up a little as well. We do have Daz, who is yet to pit, doing the reverse, actually. So he's started on the hards, and he's at lap 14 on those tyres. So it will be interesting to see there. Has he actually had a pit stop yet?
He has not.
He has not. So he's doing the reverse. So he needs to go at least another 4, maybe 5 laps on these hards to try and get that reverse 1 stop and have the fresh mediums to burn his way through a field of older hard tyres. It could work, but he is losing time hand over fist at the moment. I do not know if it's going to work that way around. My general feel on those kinds of things is it's better to start on the mediums, because if you do have those early safety cars or VSCs, you've got a little bit more flexibility with the medium tyre than you do with the hard. It's harder to kind of go. You're forced into a 2-stop. That being said, though, if there is a late safety car, he may be in the best position out of everyone, and it could be a huge upset. So if in the next couple of laps we do get a safety car, Daz is going to absolutely run away with it. So he is playing for that safety car. It will be interesting to see whether or not one comes out, because we do have some guys that are nice and close to each other. Moe Nabs sitting just half a second behind Mitch now, closed that gap down, and he is absolutely storming up behind him, getting himself ready for another attack in the next DRS zone into turn 1, turn 2 and 3, and here we go, straight back onto the DRS, and plenty of battery there as well. So, but he's decided not to. He's holding his battery. I think he's trying to try and make sure that there's plenty of battery then for the next DRS. If you have a look at the difference between the two of them, they are comparable in terms of ERS management, and this could be an interesting little fight here as we head into the next DRS zone in Sector 2.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, the management was really kind of what decided the sprint race earlier on, is that Mitchell was so good at managing that ERS that it made it borderline impossible for Quicksilver to get past on most occasions. It took an error from Mitchell for Quicksilver to kind of jump into the race lead to get that sprint win. But I mean, Mitchell, that's going to be fresh in Mitchell's mind, so he's going to know what not to do here. But soon, Mitchell himself might find himself in DRS range of the McLaren, which is going to make things a bit difficult for Quicksilver. Quicksilver has gone past Com United, did so I think about two or so laps ago. So he's got past one of the cars he needs to get past. But now he's got to try to fight a Williams. And that is not going to be an easy fight by any stretch of the imagination. But look at Moe.
He's coming now. Moe's going for that dive bomb, and he's managed to get himself momentarily in front, but he is still there right up the gearbox. He's got ERS and DRS fully wound up. He's going for it again. They're wheel to wheel coming through. A little bit of contact there, but that was bloody close. And then here we go into two. Nothing to do there. And I tell you what, the ERS between the pair of them, it looks like Mitch might have the slightly better go of it, but we will see how that they go from there. It'll be interesting to see.
A driver who's really loving this battling right now is Quicksilver, just behind. He's watching this with a metaphorical popcorn bucket there in his Ferrari, just munching away as he sees his two just kind of effectively beat the crap out of each other on track. So that's going to be really good. Because what Mitchell would have wanted to do is he would have wanted to catch up to Daz and try to pass Daz early so Daz could kind of be a buffer through the more technical parts of the circuit where passing is harder to do. So he can start to build a gap away from Moe, from Quicksilver, Com United, etc. But now that he's having to fight with Moe, then that kind of advantage that he was wanting to establish just doesn't particularly exist. And now here we go. Daz is into the pits.
Is into the pits.
And now Mitchell is going to go in and make his way down to start finish straight. Mitchell now, he's got DRS, so that's going to make any kind of advantage that Moe would have gained pretty much non-existent. And I saw some carbon fiber flying a bit there, so I think Moe might have had a bit of a tap against Mitchell there. But now Mitchell is going to be in trouble.
Can't see any damage. No damage on the car that I can see, so that will be interesting to see if it has any effect. But you're right, the best seat in the house is in third position at the moment with Quicksilver, just watching it play out in front of him. Is he being smart? Is he saving his tyres? He has those extra 3 laps of tyre life in his tyres in these 4 front runners at the moment, with Com United sitting in 4th quite happily as well. But once again, he's got a -2 compared to what Quicksilver has in terms of tyre life. The Moe's right up the gearbox there's so much moving and shaking going on in those first 3 cuts. It'll be interesting to see with Moe only 0.4 of a second behind Mitch. How's his battery looking? It's looking nice and healthy. So could he be going for another shot as we head into the pit lane straight for lap 19?
That is exactly what we're going to be on a quest to find out, is how is this one going to play out. I mean, it's hard to predict. I mean, really, you can't even really make a prediction because it's just so intense here. All 4 of these guys are honestly, in my opinion, they're all within a shot of winning this race. Mitchell's been really good on the defense, really good on the ERS. Moe has just been sending it, going a bit deep into turn 1. And then he will still kind of reside there in P2. Quicksilver has been quick like his name says. He has been very smooth, very quick. And then Com United has just been present, ready to pounce on any mistake or any kind of drama between those guys. And now it's going to be Quicksilver, Moe Nab, side by side. And it's so dicey. Com United was pretty much right there. And look at him. Com United is really just looking at these guys who are scrapping it out. Moe Nabs.
Moe's getting his pocket picked.
He had to back out of that one.
Oh, and he looks like he might have it again. Moe, mate, what have you done? So Moe losing 2 positions there to Quicksilver and Com United. Some fantastic racing there. He's just not quite on it in through that sector 2, and it can be dangerous. Those little mistakes can cause all sorts of problems. But what have we got happening up ahead? We have got Quicksilver on the gearbox of Mitch once again. Is he going to be able to do a repeat of the sprint? He's right there in the mirrors of Mitch. He's going to be putting the pressure on. He's going to make sure he knows that he is there. And I tell you what, as we head around into this pit straight, once again, he has got plenty of battery there for the defense, says Mitch. So nothing will happen in this particular lap, but we'll see how they go, because I tell you what, this is all happening here with Com United getting nice and close there. And,
Drama! As we're about to begin our onboard lap with Com United. And I mean, hey, he got the best seat in the house for that one. That is drama. And I know I saw an end play fly off with 10 to go. And this has just added an extra layer of complexity as Com United is making his way through the circuit. Just keeping an eye on, because he knows, I mean, I think he would have seen the end play kind of fly off of the Ferrari. So he knows that the Ferrari is damaged. So he's got a shot here to really make things happen, and he's going to go in and just tuck right in and just kind of, once again, Com United has pretty much the story of his race is just wait for somebody to goof up ahead of you and take their spot. He did that in the sprint, and that's what he has done here in the Grand Prix. He waited for Moe to make a mistake,
fantastic.
And he has gotten into P3, and now he's waiting to see, because he knows that Quicksilver might be in a bit of trouble here. As now he is still just kind of tucking in. And now Quicksilver is going to be potentially even more worried about Com United than he is about trying to catch Mitchell here. So he knows that missing end play is going to make things a bit difficult on the corners.
I think he's going to switch to a defensive posture here, because he's already lost. He's down by over a second. He's barely able to hold his. Look, they are ganging up on him like, and there's more contact
hello,
there.
Moe.
Moe looks like he's gotten away with it with no damage, but they are wheel to wheel here with Com United and Quicksilver. Moe's right there to pounce as well. Look, it is all happening here, and this is the difference that you can have, knowing that he is not going to be as fast through the corners. Com United has just come through and picked Quicksilver's pocket. Quicksilver not happy about that. He is all over the back of him. Hopefully they don't come together again, because we don't want to see any more crazy drama or a race is finished with contact. But I tell you what, one thing that has happened is that Mitch is he's going for another shot here on the inside.
That's ambitious.
Very ambitious on that particular corner, but it looks like Mitch has actually managed to get away and is now out of DRS.
Naya, once again, going deep into that turn 10. Naya's just not been a fan of that particular corner, as Quicksilver now is he's in a predicament. Because we'll bring up the tires here real quick. He's on fresher tires, but that missing end plate just kind of throws that advantage straight out of the window. And here's another crucial one. Mitchell is he's broken DRS. He has broken DRS from Com United. So, I mean, it's going to be a fight. Everybody so far is on the one side for the most part. Kiwi and Connor. The exception to that, but look how wide Moe Quicksilver have gotten. There is a massive contact. This is a brutal fight between these guys. No quarter given, no love lost. One of them trying to send the other straight to the retirement and telling them to go celebrate Australia Day a bit early. Because, man, that's a rough one. Really aggressive battling. It's what you love to see.
That was rough as sandpaper, but I tell you what, here we have now Moe managing to get himself back up into P3, and he is back on the gearbox of Com United, who does not have DRS on Mitch, which does leave him a little bit of a sitting duck here, and I think Moe's ERS management is a little bit better. If he's able to close that gap a little bit better and maintain DRS, he may have plenty of time here in terms of getting them in there.
A driver who I don't think, I mean, there's a slight potential for this to happen, but I think Naya's just been winging it through, turning that Formula 1 car to a Formula Drift car through turn 10, just absolutely going, every time I've seen Naya just kind of in the background, he's just gone super wide in that kick Sauber, but he's still within the nearest range of Patrick, so I mean, it's still really all to play for here.
And that's right, because of that DRS, we actually have a DRS train from United all the way down to Naya. So it's going to be interesting. Any one of these 6 drivers can pop themselves up onto the podium with some smart driving and a little bit of luck. But Naya losing one of his end plates there, so he's going to be riding with a little bit of damage. So, and as is Quicksilver, and it looks like those other 3 in positions 1, 2, and 3 looks like they're actually gapped Quicksilver, and that's one of the issues with having a damaged front wing, is it does play effect not just on how well you can corner, but because you're cornering and you start sliding around the place, that's when you start seeing your tyre deg really skyrocket, and that's going to really play. So any advantage that he had with those slightly newer tyres is going to be absolutely vaporised now that he has lost that front wing, and it doesn't look like he's going to be able to recreate his sprint win in the earlier race tonight. But tell you what, I'm interested to see how the top 3 are going, because United managing to get himself almost back into DRS of Mitch. So is his extra lap of tyre life coming into fruition? Has he been saving his tyres a little bit better with Mitch having to fight and defend? We will soon see.
Indeed, we shall. And the race is getting closer and closer to its conclusion here. It's been an exciting night here in Bahrain, and we're looking to see if it can get even more exciting as the night goes on. It is down to about 6 laps to go here on the night. United now got Moe for company, so we will see if Moe can hold on and get this position. They've already broken away from Quicksilver, and Quicksilver is just falling down the order as now Patrick tries to get a move. Oh, the Red Bull trying to use the wings, trying to get through. The Red Bull's wings are better, and Patrick is up in a position, but it's already taken a bit of a twist as the wings flew him too close to the sun. Icarus, aka Patrick, now has that 3-second penalty for track limit violations. And that Quicksilver is still in P4, essentially, but if he loses 3 seconds to Patrick, then that penalty is going to not really exist for him there. Shining Swarm getting another penalty a bit further down the field as the governor has Minmay for company as they make their way down the DRS straight. The Williams driver trying to go ahead and because we've been talking a lot about Moe, but Minmay's actually had a pretty solid run of things too. Pretty much right where they started, but still, I mean, that consistency can pay off because we've seen some massive changes up and down this field tonight.
Yeah, that's right. With Minmay managing to get himself into 8th position, and there is a 6-second gap behind him, so he's definitely going to be able to hold on to that. If anything, he may actually pop up a little bit because there are some penalties in front of him. Quicksilver getting pipped by Naya now, and Quicksilver onto the grass, absolutely having a hash of it. Not enjoying that front broken wing, so that will be interesting to see how he finally finishes there. Patrick's picking up a penalty, but Naya also picking up a penalty there, so that's going to be interesting. What was the cause of that one? I'm guessing it is going to be track limits on that one as well. So unfortunately, picking up that track limit violation, and that means that getting past Quicksilver there, looks like Quicksilver should be able to hold on to P4 because he does have penalties all around him. So even with that broken wing, he'll still bag some solid points, and coupled together with his great performance in the sprint, he'll do pretty well out of this weekend. Probably not as well as what he was wanting. It's never good having that kind of race result dictated by damage on the vehicle, but it is what it is, and you've got to keep going. Moe right up the gearbox of United. Further down the field, we've also got lots of penalties. Full Guy picking up penalties, Shining Swarm picking up penalties, Flying Kiwi and Connor all picking up penalties, as well as SJ. And there's Daz. Now, we spoke about Daz earlier on. He did that move onto the medium tyres, and he is sitting at 7 laps in on that medium tyre. As those other...
Some righteous scrapping going on here between Moe and United. Position switched. And now
There
it's
we
going to
go.
be Moe trying to now chase down Mitchell. But now there's 4 laps to go in the Bahrain Grand Prix. And things are only getting spicier here in Div 4. It's been a mighty fine night, and it keeps getting greater as the battle still continues on. Moe kind of dancing on the edge of being within DRS range of Mitchell. But we know how strong Mitchell is when it comes to that defense. So
That's
it's going to
exactly
be
right.
much easier said than done to get that overtake.
Now it's going to be interesting because Daz only needs to get within 3 seconds of SJ in order to pick up that 8th spot. So if he is able to close down on those medium tyres, but they are coming towards the end of their operational life. They're at 8 laps already done, and with another 3 laps to go, it is going to be tough for him to actually close that down. But if he can get within 3 seconds, or under 3 seconds, he will pick up that position swap at the end of the race, which will be interesting to see there. Moe not able to close much further down on Mitch, and Com United, he doesn't want to give up that position as easily as Moe would have hoped, because he is still sitting there ready to pounce as we go. We still have plenty of action going down in the midfield as well, so the biggest being in between the guys of Minmi and also SJ. So there was a swap of position there, but SJ probably letting him go past there because of that penalty. He's not going to be able to make up any kind of position there or anything like that on him.
Com United, 3-second time penalty for track limit violations. That's gonna hurt.
Now
so that
is
pretty
going
much
to be interesting.
So now that all but locks Moe into P2 or P1. So that is going to be that's another interesting twist as we get ready for the final 2 laps. And here's what I'm going to do. Wild Track, you can take this next lap and I'll take the final.
Fantastic. All right, so we're heading into the start of the penultimate lap, lap 28 here at Bahrain. It's been a hot evening here. The racing has been absolutely incendiary, so we'll see how we go into lap 28 as the top runners head onto that pit straight. Open DRS for Moe. He has got back into DRS, only just, so it will be interesting to see if he's able to actually make a move. It could be fireworks at the very end there. We do have penalties all the way through those top 4 runners there, so top 5 runners really, so it could be some interesting position changes there at the end. Quicksilver trying to hold on so he can actually pick up maybe an extra position or so out of that, carrying that damage from a little incident into turn 1 on the back of Mitch. So not super happy with it. Down the field, we do have a couple of lonely drivers all spread out by a few seconds each. Probably the closest guys. Here we go with Gordo getting a move done on the full guy there, so that's a great move there. He picks up that position and he has no penalties, so he's going to cement himself into P13. Unfortunately for Mercedes, nothing to do for them tonight. Hopefully they can recover for the next round. But the main action is going to be here as we come to the end of lap 28. And tell you what, mate, this has been an absolute pleasure to watch. Lots of action here, position changes, you name it, it is all there. And Moe getting right up the gearbox of Mitch as we head into your lap, mate. Bring it away for the final lap of the Bahrain GP Division 4 Round 2 here at Rush Racing. Absolutely fantastic.
And actually, here's something interesting as we begin the final lap. So Connor actually might have Connor just gave Mitchell DRS. So that's going to be a massive helping hand. That is ingenious from the Alpine team. Moe's going to be furious. Com United's going to be upset. But Alpine could not care less. They helped their guy out in a time of need. And generally will get a penalty. But here we go. Final lap of the Bahrain Grand Prix. And it is going to be a real fight. Moe versus Mitchell. And now we're going to see Moe get really hyper aggressive. Still got about 50% battery, and that's a snap of oversteer for Mitchell. History will repeat itself And look at this. History is about to repeat itself. As all it took was a last lap snap for Mitchell to lose the positions. Patrick up into P2. Moe leading the race here. And what a turn of events at the end. Oh, Mitchell, you got to feel for the guy. And now he's getting taken over by Caminita, so he's down into 4th position here. Moe Nabs now rounding the last couple of corners. And what has happened? Mitchell
Mitch.
again. He is. Heartbreak. What a. That is
He's not going to be happy about that.
That is a bottle of the century if I've ever seen it from the Alpine team. But here we go. It's coming across the line now. Moe Naps wins the Bahrain Grand Prix. Patrick in P2. Com United stays P3. And wow. You could have not written a more chaotic ending to this Bahrain Grand Prix. Welcome to Div4, everybody. If it is your first time, don't make your last. Drop a follow, because it's only round 2. We still got about, I think, 16 rounds left of the season. And it's going to be chaos every which way. What a drive. What a race. Moe Nabs, P1. Patrick, P2. Com United, P3. Quicksilver, sprint winner, down into P4. And where did Mitchell end up? Right at the back of the top 10. Whew.
That is rough. That is a rough way to finish a fantastic race. He led for a very good portion of it. Both him and Quicksilver not having a good run of it in the final components of that, or the final parts of that race, but Moe coming through. Fantastic performance there, managing to pick up, and there he is on the podium. Well done, Moe.
You predicted that Moe was going to be a driver to watch, and sure enough, that is
there he was. Yeah, look, he's been performing very, very
absolutely
well. Very, very well done. So there is your top 10. Oh, well, here we go. So your top 10 placements for picking up points is going to be Moe Nabs in first position. Patrick's in second, picking up 22 points. You've got picking up 15 points. Com United into third, picking up 15 there. Quicksilver picking up fourth because of the penalties on track. So finishing fifth on track, but picking up those penalties to finish up in fourth position. Minmi picking up at 5, so a great result there for Williams, picking up a boatload of points, and that should help them in the standings. Naya finishing up in 6th. Mitch in 7th in the end because of, is that right?
You're looking at the overall results from the weekend. So
overall results, sorry.
So
yeah,
it is
so
Moe to Patrick,
the
the Com United, Quicksilver, Naya, Minme, Dad's the governor, and then here's the rest of our field. With the only retirement of the race being Htown in the opening laps. And that is the end of the race weekend here in Bahrain for Division 4. But we still have interviews to go with here. So if I could have the top 3 from that race, and also Quicksilver, the sprint winner. We'll get him in here and go ahead and run through these interviews. And then we are going to go ahead and let this stream go off into the sunset. But while we get these guys in, give us a summary of the race here, Wild Trek.
Well, look, like I said, this is one of my favourite tracks, and the reason for it is that there's always something to do at turn 1, and that proved to be the case in both the sprint and the main event. Some phenomenal racing by all. It was interesting to see how the guys would react into the GP from the sprint. We saw both Quicksilver and Mitch, really hitting the ground running when they were going through for the initial opening stages of the GP. But both of them coming into some trouble, having some problems, and finishing up lower in the order than we expected. And that once again meant that there was a whole heap thrown up into the mix in the final closing laps. Look, like I said before we started, Moe was definitely going to be one to watch. I've raced with him here at Bahrain before, and he is bloody quick. So I'm interested to see what he's got to say for himself when he comes up into the interview box. But look, overall, there was a couple of moments of drama, and I think that the stewards might have some interesting conversations to be had. But yeah, we'll see how they go with that. Hopefully, nothing too much in terms of penalties for drivers or warnings for drivers, but we'll see. It is Div4. The guys did their absolute best, so yeah, very, very interesting to see.
Indeed, yeah, we got a few of them in. Um, and actually, I just learned that what happened to Mitch there was that he had a puncture. So that's what happened. So he got a puncture, which went ahead and spun him around. So
that is unlucky.
That is
That's
that is literally Isaac Hadjar for the Qatar Grand Prix in the real world. Got a puncture like 2 laps from the end. And man, oh man, that's been a crazy one. I'll go ahead and let you take the interview with, I believe he finished P3, and that is with Com United. I'll let you take that interview away.
Com United, well done, mate. P3, you got to be happy with that performance. We were watching you the entire time, and you look like you are in the driver's seat in terms of the best seat in the house to watch what was unfolding in front of you. Tell us a little bit about your race. Tell us about your tactic there and how you finished up.
Let's just say if I had some popcorn and watching Moe and Quicksilver battling, then I would have right now, because that was just insane. Obviously, commiserations to Mitch. That puncher was just so unlucky. He was out there at the front for most of that race, and then just to have a puncher at the end is just unfortunate. But for me, it was just me trying to stay within DR. First stint, that was just my goal. I wasn't trying to overtake or anything, just hoping for mistakes from the front. But the second stint at the start, I was struggling with understeer, but then once those tyres fired up, I was able to stay with Moe and Quicksilver and Mitch until, obviously, the puncher.
Yeah, look, unfortunately, punctures are part of racing. Extremely unlucky there for Mitch, but I tell you what, you managed to make yourself well known in the race. You stayed in the right position, like you said. A great seat in the house to watch some of the action unfolding in front of you. But brilliant racing there. You kept it clean. You kept it in touch for DRS the entire time. And when those mistakes happened, mate, you were there to capitalise. So you did fantastic there. Great job on that particular race. P3, you got to be happy with that.
Yeah, I'm definitely am.
So who we got up next, Reggers?
All right, and actually I'm going to ask Com United a few questions before we go ahead and let him go. So just 2 questions for you real quick, mate. It is Suzuka next week. How confident are you?
Suzuka is a track where it's 50-50 for me. Either I do well or do absolutely terrible. So I'm going to do some practice over the next week. And Suzuka, not a fun track for myself, but for my driving style. But hopefully, with a bit of practice, I'll be able to overcome those little shortcomings and be able to do well in Japan.
All right, and the one last question before we go ahead and let you go. Is there anyone you'd like to give a special thanks or a shout out to here tonight?
I did want to give a shout out to Quicksilver. Obviously, I've raced with him in so many other leagues and seen the improvement of him, and just seeing him just up there at the front and racing with him is just so much fun. And all the blokes I have raced with, it's just a great time for myself. Obviously, Div4 again, and it's just a lot of fun. I just enjoy coming here week.
All right, well, once again, congratulations on the podium, and we will see you next week in Japan.
Thanks, mate.
All right, next up, I'm going to let you take away our sprint winner. Quicksilver deck, over to Wild Track.
Quicksilver, mate, fantastic result in the sprint there. You held on right behind Mitch and managed to make your move in, I think it was lap 8 of the sprint, managing to pick up on that mistake. Fantastic wheel-to-wheel racing all weekend. But unfortunately, in the main sprint, picking up a little bit of wing damage there into turn 1. Not what you wanted to see there. But tell us a little bit about your sprint and then about your Grand Prix.
Yeah, so pretty much the whole sprint, I was just trying to keep the pressure on Mitchell, obviously defending from Com United. But yeah, at the end of the day, obviously he cooked his tyres, so that's all I really need to take advantage of.
Yeah, look, unfortunately, that definitely can be the deciding factor at the end of the sprint races. You do have to manage those tyres and your ERS really well, but you did both of those and you managed to get through. And then you got a fantastic pole position for the main event, picking up a fantastic qualifying lap. But how did it all pan out for you?
Obviously, it was great getting my first sprint win, first pole position in any league, really. Race started, it was honestly fantastic. I wouldn't have it any other way until about, I can't remember what it was, lap 20, 21. Don't want to take myself back there. But yeah, the wing damage, I don't know if I broke too late, Mitchell broke too early. I don't have to look back at it, but yeah, not really an ideal result, but I am happy for the rest of the lads on the podium. I'd consider them great mates, so if a Ferrari driver couldn't do it, I wouldn't have the podium any other way.
No, absolutely fantastic work. You did, like I said, picking up that wing damage. Did it have a much effect on your tyre deck throughout those final closing laps on the one stop?
Honestly, I've had no attention to the tyre deck. It was just honestly all attention on the wing. I tried to pull together a result. Lucky to get back up to P5 really, but yeah, hope to improve on that next week.
Definitely. And how are you going to feel about next week's race? We are going to Suzuka. It is another one of tracks, actually. I do like Suzuka a fair bit. A much, much faster turn 1 versus onto the anchors here at Bahrain. So how do you feel about Suzuka coming up?
I don't think I've ever done a league race there. I might need someone to correct me on that. It's just, I hope I'm fast there. If not, then we're going to have a bit of improving to do. But honestly, after this week, I'm really hoping to get back on that top step just to get that win that I never could.
All right. All right. Well, Quicksilver, once again, congratulations on your sprint win, and we'll see you next week in Japan.
Thank you.
All right. And now we got Patrick here taking a podium for Red Bull. Now, I mean, you pretty much just kind of sat in the top 5 for quite a while there, Patrick, and then you just kind of just showed up and pretty much just took advantage of everything that happened. So, how was the race from your perspective?
Oh, couldn't have said it better yourself. I was just waiting back, enjoying the race. Probably pit a lap too late. So I lost touch with the lead guys, and Naya kept me honest behind on that hard stint. But honestly, just try to stay mistake-free, and was just super fortunate at the end for the race to fall my way.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much, we were saying the same thing about Com United for quite a bit there too. So you just took advantage, got a fantastic podium, lots of points for Red Bull. So just 2 more questions before I pass you over to Wildtrack if he has anything to add. We are heading to Suzuka next up. How do you feel about it?
It's not one of my favorite tracks, but I'll be practicing this week, making sure I can bring home some good points for Red Bull again, and hopefully we can have another good weekend and build on this momentum.
All right, last question before I pass you over. Is there anyone you'd like to give a special thanks or shout out to here tonight?
Shout out to the Red Bull boys and SJ, my teammate. He had a good race down there, and hopefully we can take P1 and P2 next week.
All right, well, Once again, congratulations on the podium, and I'll pass you over to Wild Track.
Yeah, great work, Pat. You did some fantastic racing today. Very much like Com United, you kept yourself in that position and in the fight the entire time, waiting for those mistakes. And when the wing damage happened with Quicksilver, what were your thoughts there? Were you ready to pounce, or was this just more a case of keeping it clean and keeping it on the track?
I didn't notice he had wing damage because he was so far up the road I couldn't see it. But when I noticed, I caught up to him and actually had a chance of going for the overtake. I knew something must be up because he's normally quicker than that. He's a quick driver, Silverdeck, a Quicksilver. But yeah, I'm lucky I got the opportunity, which helped me close up to the back of the other guys as well. So unfortunate for him, he was on for a great result after that awesome P1 in the sprint. But I'm sure he'll be back better than ever next week.
Absolutely fantastic. Once again, mate, great result, and looking forward to see how you perform next week at Suzuka.
Thank you. Congrats, Moe.
Speaking of Moe, he'll be our final interview of the night, as we do have our Grand Prix race winner here in the commentary booth. Moe, what a win, mate. How do you feel?
Wow. So excited. So happy. First win in league racing. It's just static, man.
Well, I mean, that first win feeling is always such a fantastic feeling. It's always probably it's pretty much the highlight of your week or even your month, and it's something that you're always going to remember. But just talk to us about your race, because pretty much the story of your night was just right place at the right time.
Yes, I was in P2, P3, P4 the whole race, and I saw Quick Deck got damage. He had a bit of wing damage, and then I saw Mitchell was struggling on his tires towards the end as well, and obviously he ended up getting that puncture. And then I almost hit him when that happened as well, and it was chaos that last lap. It was crazy. I thought I was gonna get crashed out anyway.
All right, yeah, I mean there was a lot of just hectic and scary moments, honestly, throughout that race. So I know you pretty much you're glad it's over, but you're so glad you also took away a win, a ton of points for Williams too, considering that you and your teammate had a pretty good night here tonight. Do you think you guys will be able to keep up the momentum in Suzuka?
Yeah. Look, I haven't really practiced Suzuka, but obviously me and the William boys, we've been doing a lot of practice for Bahrain this week, and it's paid dividends for us. So hopefully we can continue that for next week. And yeah, we've got a great TP in Dito helping us out, and yeah, it's been amazing.
All right, last question before I pass you over to Wild Track. Is there anyone you'd like to give a special thanks or shout out to here tonight?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously the Williams boys, my TP, Dito, and I want to give a special thanks to Nishka. Me and him had a lot of practice in the off season, and yeah, we worked on a lot of stuff together, and he's helped me out a lot. He's helped me come off to where I am today, so I'd like to thank Nishka.
All right, well, once again, congratulations on the win. Hopefully the first of many to come, and I will pass you over to Wild Track.
Great job, Moe. I picked you as my favourite to perform particularly well for this race. You kind of let me down, mate, in your sprint. What happened there? You didn't have the best of the sprint races, but I tell you what, you turned it around like you wouldn't believe for your GP in the main feature race. Tell us a little bit about what kind of went wrong in the sprint.
Yeah, my quali lap, that was my problem. I stuffed up my quali lap. So I didn't get a good quali time on the softs. I only had the medium quali time. And then, I was stuck in the DRS train. And then I think Daz had got turned around after turn one. And I went straight into him and ended up getting wing damage. So that was my race done.
Yeah, look, it's unfortunate, especially turn one at Bahrain can be utter carnage. And like you said, that all-important qualifying lap. We were following you around for that one. To see that you did pick up a bit higher on the grid there. But I tell you what, mate, you turned it on in qualifying for the main feature, getting on the front row, a awesome qualifying lap there. But managing to keep it really nice and clean throughout the entire feature race. And coming away with the win. So fantastic work there. Was there any thoughts in terms of the one stop or the two stop, or if there was going to be a late safety car? Did you have any other thoughts there in terms of other strategies?
Mate, honestly, I wasn't thinking of any of the above. I'm just, I was, I was just driving along and just, see it, just take it as it comes and listening to my TP to Dito and just I was just concentrating on the race and trying to stay out of trouble. Like you said, there was a lot of chaos, a lot of things going on with the top four, top five. So just I think staying out of trouble, not getting penalties helped a lot. And I was able to turn around in the Grand Prix because of the sprint race was just wasn't too good.
Yeah, look, you did fantastic, mate. So once again, awesome job. Penalty free this time, which is also awesome to see. I've seen you pick up a few penalties in the past, mate. So you've done really well here for the Bahrain Grand Prix. Best of luck going into Suzuka, mate. And I reckon you're going to absolutely kill it.
Thanks, bud. Appreciate it, all track.
Alrighty, guys, that's going to go ahead and wrap things up here for Division 4 Bahrain. What a night it has been. Probably the race of the week, even though we still have Div 3 and Div 5 still to go. But, I mean, you cannot argue that Div 4 was probably the best race we've had so far at this track. Absolutely a blast. Good time commentating with Wild Track for the first time. I know it's not his first time here, but he has been here before. First time we've worked together, a lot of fun. Really enjoyed it. And yeah, that's going to go ahead and wrap things up here. Thank you guys so much for tuning on in. I want to give a special thank you to our sponsors, Sim Racing Center, SimLab, Pagani, and Simulation Experts, and AI369. Without them, none of this would be possible. But most importantly, I want to thank you guys so much for tuning on in to tonight's broadcast. And we will see you guys tomorrow for, I believe, Div 3 is up next. So stay tuned and have a good night. And one last thing, for those of you guys celebrating Australia Day, do so responsibly. Be safe, have fun, enjoy the fantastic food, and have a good night.